Hi, and welcome to my midnight storytelling hour. Some tales take time to unfold, so take a breath and stay with me a little longer. The story that I'll be narrating tonight is called The Lost Letter. What comes to your mind when you hear this title? Let's see if we're on the same page. On a damp, cold Monday morning in London, Mary woke up to the sound of silence. It was a day like any other. However, something felt different. She made her usual coffee and sat down to read the newspaper. The articles addressed the same issues as the day before. Inflation, crime, and wars, all printed in big letters. But the context of everything felt strangely unclear. Mary felt uneasy, but it wasn't the news that unsettled her. Her eyes narrowed, trying to decipher the shape of the words. And then it hit her. The letter R was missing from every sentence. "That's not right," she whispered to herself. Probably a misprint or a drunken editor too intoxicated to notice the mistake. Mary went about her day as usual, but when she stepped out of the house, she noticed the absence of the letter everywhere. Shop signs with holes in their names, food items that sounded different, and people struggling to communicate with one another. She rushed to the church, now referred to as a church, and the hymns she knew by heart were suddenly impossible to read aloud. She looked around, hoping that someone would share her bewilderment, but everybody seemed to go with the flow. The nonchalance was unnerving, so she decided to talk to the priest. "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. How can I redeem myself?" She stammered, instantly realizing that the sound of R had died before it left her tongue. By evening, her entire identity had changed, and she felt like a stranger even to herself. She was no longer Mary. Instead, people began calling her May. How ironic, right? That the absence of one letter could change the meaning completely? From having a name that meant the mother of Jesus, she was now reduced to just a month. The city spiraled out of control in the following days. Without R, the buses no longer announced their stops. The documents lost their legality, and songs sounded hollow. Teachers stumbled over words. Lovers broke apart, unable to say the simplest words of devotion. "My heat is used forever," a young man whispered, but his girlfriend pleaded to hear words that resonated with love. How could everyone act as if nothing had changed? Mary thought to herself. She wanted to scream, to shake them all awake, enraged at how the world was adjusting without protest. And that terrified her more than the loss of the letter itself. Mary refused to surrender. She began to write letters by hand, relentlessly pressing the forbidden shape onto paper until her fingers cramped. She chanted words into the night over and over and over again. It was her secret rebellion against a world that had abandoned such a vital sound. Weeks passed and governments began to issue amendments. Laws were written that erased the letter from memory. Teachers told children that R was just a myth, insisting there were only 25 letters in the alphabet. One day, Mary's daughter came to her with a twinkle in her eye. "Look, Mommy, I can now write my name," she said with excitement. Mary stared at her notebook with wide eyes. She had scribbled the name Sah instead of Sarah, a name that Mary had fondly chosen in memory of her mother. She wanted to correct her daughter, to tell her the truth, but Mary's tongue betrayed her. She sat at her desk, trembling. The letters that she had written lay scattered, useless scratches of a language that no one would remember. She felt an overwhelming grief as she watched the world forget itself. And then, with a sharp intake of breath, she began one final act of defiance. She folded every paper, sealed it in an envelope, and scrawled across it the word that had mysteriously vanished. Remember. Mary knew no one would be able to read it, but sometimes even a silent letter could prove powerful enough to echo forever. So, what did you think? Did this story resonate with you in some way? Did you think that this was what the story was going to be about? How would you react if something so simple yet important vanished from your life in an instant? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed our time together, join me again next time for another long tale.